What up? What up? What up? It's Ibn Webb, Quran, or something. Another go around with this official thanks thing here. Doing the Essex County All Day Edition. I'm smiling because years ago I wasn't smiling too much with this gentleman that was on the other side as a linebacker, ready to just take my head off, break a rib or two, or what have you, as far as just going to being able to compete against him, in my time in high school here has been great. Was even been more great just to seeing his progression through life. Going to University of Iowa, starring there, doing well, going into the coaching ranks, paying crazy dues, taught to me get a head coaching job, and just continue to be involved as far as in sports or what have you here. But it's just been like I said, great just from, Bob Diaco, like I said. So those who know this man, again, whether it's on the field or his coaching exploits, what have you here. Like I said, just a great guy. Looking forward to talking to him. Actually kind of nervous, but I'll be all right. Well, we'll get to it. Hold tight. Cool. Bob, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. And like I said, I appreciate you just taking some time out, man. I know it's a random out the blue, like, who the hell is this guy reaching out here?
Oh, it's awesome. It was awesome. I'm so glad to be on, and I watched some of the other broadcasts. They're super cool, and what you're doing is great. I think it's great.
Yeah. I think it was just one of those things that, with this pandemic and everything, creative juices and different things just to try to just keep the blood flowing and, not get stagnant or what have you. So this kind of morphed out of that. I waited a little bit, but then I got going, and I just been going. And like I said, it's been a blast in a sense, just people that I've heard, read about, or maybe know or don't even know at all, just to reach out and just talk and share a little glimpse of their world as far. So like I said, it's been a blast.
That's awesome.
Good. How you been? How's the family? Everybody, you holding up? Everybody's safe?
Everybody's good. Yeah, we're healthy.
Okay.
We've, taken all the precautionary measures necessary. I have children in school. So some of the schools is mandatory vaccination. So they had to comply, which they would have anyway. And we've all taken care of that and done that. That all went okay. No adverse effects from that. Okay. And I got, two off to school right now, and one waiting to go. So
good.
he goes at the, what's
college
that?
Kids? You got some college? Yeah.
Yeah.
College
My oldest is getting his MBA.
Okay.
At the Herbert Business School at the University of Miami.
Okay.
And he loves that.
Yeah.
My middle child is a senior at Notre Dame, and she loves that. Mm-hmm. And my youngest is a rising junior in your neck of the woods there at Blair Academy.
Okay, he's okay. Yeah. Wow, I remember Blair. I remember Blair.
So he loves that. He loves going there. So okay. It's we got them all over the country right now. So yeah. My wife and I are empty nesters, other than our two little dogs, and that's it. That's what our crew's doing. Everybody's doing good. How about you?
I'm good. Actually, I'm in Connecticut. I actually been in Connecticut for some time. Done turned this around into being home. Everybody's still in Jersey as far as family. Everybody's still in Essex County somewhere, scattered over somewhere over there. Like I said, but I'm doing all right. Like I said, holding up, maneuvering, and doing things like everybody else here as far as trying to adjust and just figure out what's what. Kids-wise, I have a 7-year-old. I waited forever to have one, so I'm looking like her grandfather versus her father. Yeah. So, but it's been a joy. I got a 7-year-old girl, and I wouldn't ask for anybody else.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. You're right in the thick of it. 7 years old. That's fun. It's just starting to get fun.
Yeah, no fun, and then then it turned into the attitude and the teenage stuff, which I'm not looking forward to, but it's all right though.
That's relative to how
yes.
How you do it, and we were always really close, my children. There wasn't a moment here or there, but there's great respect, and it's mutual. And I didn't experience a lot of that.
Okay, good.
nonsense during those years. Now, you got to be willing to roll. Everybody's going to make a mistake every day. So, but because, you're just growing up. Shoot, I feel like a little kid myself sometimes.
Yeah, you definitely keep the kid in you, that youth in you. I mean, which we all need. Nah, definitely. I mean, nah, that's cool, Bob. That's real cool. I know. Like I said, just asking folks as far as where all this start from, like for Bob Diaco. Is it been Jersey always, or you came from somewhere else?
No, my family, they moved, prior to even my father being born, from Italy. Grandparents on Ellis Island, names are on Ellis Island, settled in Newark, New Jersey, and raised their children. Most that went to high school, some went to trade schools, and some went to high school. If they went to high school in that area, they went to Barringer. My father was a Barringer athlete, and they settled with their family business in Newark, which is still there, still in the same spot, and it's been a long time. So they're electrical contractors, and that license is now probably one of the older licenses in the state. We moved, my father moved from Newark to Cedar Grove, and that's the town I was raised in. Born, I think, in Passaic or Patterson, but only because that's where the hospital was. My family, my brothers and I grew up in Cedar Grove, New Jersey.
Okay. Then
yeah,
just getting there, small town, but great town here. Like, I mean, activities, your regular normal kid stuff. I mean, just being outside and enjoying the outdoors and sports, I'm sure obviously made his way through.
Oh, I absolutely love living there. My brothers love living there. I love living there. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm still very, very close with all my friends that we grew up with. Even though I've been, I haven't been back, to live or really much at all. And I've been all over the country. We still have maintained very, very close friendships. The sports, the extracurriculars in the town, they do a great job. Both, all those towns right there, Cedar Grove, Verona, Caldwell, Wayne, and I'm missing a lot, Roseland. I mean, they all do a nice Montclair. They all do a great job with their extracurriculars, whether it's band or orchestra, their sporting, situation, even through the youth league. And that's where it started. I had one of my favorite coaches that I've ever had was my youth league coach. Yeah. So, I say that and you're like, come on, really? But yeah,
I believe it, though. I can see that.
His name is Jim Pomponio, and he was a great coach. He was fun to be around. He was, disciplined and thoughtful and compassionate, but also pushed us and communicated with us and showed us. He was very hands-on. He'd come right from work, so I can't tell you how many pairs of pants he ripped, getting into a stance. But I really had a great experience, and we were dominant. We never lost. Through the 6 years of youth league, we never lost a game, and I think 4 of the 6 years we were unscored upon. So we just totally dominated that league. And that's when you do something and you have fun and you have success, it's hard to stop doing it. So,
definitely. Was football was your only sport as a kid? I mean, before high school, or you did?
You know what, like in our age, right? Our age group, that didn't happen. Everybody did everything. Yeah. So very few of these specifically trained athletes. You played football, and then you went to basketball or wrestling, and then you went to baseball or track. So, and I did all that, I did football and then basketball and then baseball and then football and then wrestling and then baseball and then football, wrestling, and then track. I tried it all, whatever I felt like was going to help facilitate the football piece. I tried to do, I'm sure I was pretty average at all of it. Definitely baseball, wrestling, and basketball, and track, was really a hodgepodge. So,
but to your point, like we got involved in everything. It wasn't really no season off. I mean, just the joy in being around your friends and playing something and being active. I mean, that was just what we did. Not saying they don't do it now, but that's what we did, back then. I know. What was your first position you played in football? For the league, remember?
I was a lineman on both sides, and that was because the league that I played in so you went in third grade when you were 8 was when we started tackle football. Okay. And that coding was the C's. So you were at a C level, and that was for 2 years. And then you went to the B level, and that was for 2 years. And that was 5th and 6th grade for the B's. And then 7th and 8th grade, you were on the A's. And each level had its own weight limit.
Okay.
And the weight limits had 2 weight limits. So at a certain point in time, you weighed in. And if you were under that particular weight, then you didn't have to weigh in again, and you could carry the ball. Mm-hmm. If you weighed at or above it, or maybe just 1 pound above it, let's say it was 115 pounds. If you were 116 pounds, then you had to weigh in every week. And then there was a top weight limit, was about 10 or 15 pounds higher than that weight limit. So it might have been from 115 to 130.
Okay.
If you were 131, you couldn't play. And I don't remember exactly what the numbers were, but if you were 131, you couldn't play. If you were 130, you could. You just couldn't carry the ball. And how it was so funny, they throw these officials, they'd probably throw them in some kind of detention facility, with how sensitive everybody is these days. But they had a big orange sticker. They put it in across the back of your helmet, and it was called the fat sticker.
Mm. Yeah. That ain't flying today. Yeah.
At the beginning of the game, and I always had a fat sticker on my helmet, So at the beginning of the game, they would line us up. They had to line you up. Everybody that had the stickers on the back of their helmet, they would line you up and write your number down, because if you touch the ball, they'd have to blow the whistle immediately, because the ball would be down immediately. So.
Yeah, talk about shaming and all that today. That would never fly.
Yeah, you'd never get away with that, But somehow we made it, right? Somehow we figured it out.
Nah, you're right. Nah, it's interesting. The line. That was my position. I was a lineman as well too, so I get it. Even up to even in 8th grade, I went back to playing the line. I played quarterback. I think it was 7th grade year. Then I went back to it was so they as they go, you just want the athletes or whoever you want on the field. I could just play football. They'll figure it out. And then high school, you had an interesting. You had high school. You had a choice. You didn't go to Cedar Grove initially.
No, I went to Seton Hall Prep. They were great. My brothers had a really great experience there. Mm-hmm. And I was excited to go there. I was a fan of the school. When I was a kid, I was going. They had great teams. I remember Greg Amsler and Matty Lasher and all these guys that were on this Seton Hall Prep teams. They had a great safety, a great running back. So they had fun teams to watch, and I was just a kid. I'd go tailgate and enjoy those games. My brothers were older than me. I was the youngest. And I really enjoyed it. So they had a great football coach, high school Hall of Famer, and a tough guy, Coach Tony Verducci. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go play for Coach Verducci. And during my time there, and I had a great experience. I was enjoying it. I love the structure of the school. I love the classes. I love my classmates. But the football coach, Coach Verducci, passed away my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. So when that happened, I kind of opened my recruitment back up. I didn't have any intention of going back to Cedar Grove, but they hired a new coach, and he started to, let's call it recruit me to go back to the school. And I just enjoyed him too. He's my kind of guy, so tough guy, city guy, great guy. His name's Jeff Weiner. And he was coming from Lincoln with him and his best buddy in Jersey City. And they talked me into going to Cedar Grove. So and it was great. I went back and got back with all my friends.
And if you wasn't going to go there, was it somewhere else in mind that you?
It was a bunch of schools. At that time it was, DePaul and Bergen
Barnes and all those.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So you go from parochial A, the big boys, down to Group 1, back with, but you're playing with your boys, you guys you grew up with.
No doubt. And it's all relative, right? I mean, there's good teams during that time. And I'm not saying there's not good teams now, but at that same level, shortly after I finished, within the last decade, Hoboken was great, had players and dudes and a real team. During my years, Mountain Lakes was a strong team. New Providence was always really good, or what was it, Governor Livingston or whatever it was. They were
Governor Livingston. That was it. Yeah,
they were really good. So there was a couple of really good teams in that league. So you had to get ready and perform. And then we always ended the year with Verona. And Verona has always had good teams and really good players. And then all bets are off in a rivalry game like that anyway.
Yeah, definitely. The Turkey Day too, definitely. I know. So you home, and obviously you mentioned some of the schools. Now you go back. Obviously, not playing the line these days. You go as middle linebacker and fullback, correct?
Yeah. I went. During my time at Seton Hall, my freshman year is when I transitioned. What happened, honestly, what happened was I was really, as we've already said, I had the stickers, right? So it wasn't like I was just a big kid, I was, I like meatballs, Parmesan sandwiches and pasta too much, still do. But I had to lose 48 pounds to play in 8th grade.
And how long of a time frame?
I had to lose 48 pounds. I mean, I knew the deadline was coming.
Okay.
So from 7th grade to the start of practice, which was it wasn't as early as it is now. These kids they've been practicing all summer. But at that time it was the end of August, and you had a little camp for a couple of weeks, and then you started your season. Whatever it was, it might even been a week in August and then into September, and then you started your season. So I can't remember how long that first weigh-in was, whether it was September 1st or September 15th or August 25th, whenever it was. From the end of my 7th grade year, from that point, I had to lose 48 pounds, and I lost 49 pounds. I mean, I lost 47. Sorry, I lost 47 pounds. So I was 1 pound overweight for weigh-ins for game 1. Crazy. 1 pound.
And they were stickler with that 1 pound?
And they wouldn't let me play. They wouldn't let me play. So I had one more week to peel off that. And it wasn't done for the season. It was just each week. So I had another week to try. I lost that pound that following week, and then I was able to play. Or it might have taken me 2 weeks to get the pound off. Because what you lose when you're a child, you're 12 years old, you're 13 years old, to try to lose 48 pounds is an undertaking. So, but I got it done, and I got a chance to play. The silver lining, not only of having to play, which was awesome, but I grew like 5 inches. Like it's almost like I had all that weight that just kind of came off those bones were waiting to, go. And when that weight came off, I shot right up, just before 8th grade. So I still had to play the line as an 8th grader, but I was much taller and started to look more like a linebacker and a fullback than I looked like a lineman.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So
from that time.
Yeah. Wow. And that's 48 pounds as a 12-year. That's crazy. I don't care how much time, to your point here, you still developing and everything else. And
and you don't even want to know. No one would even want to know how I did it.
Yeah, no.
They try to talk me out of doing it. Like my family, my father's like, you got to stop. You can't do this. Is dangerous. That kind of thing. I'm like, no, man, there's no way. There's no way I'm stopping. So not right or wrong. And I'm not saying it's any more or less than anyone else. But since I was a very small child, I've dedicated my whole life to football.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was no way in hell you was going to stay off that field. Yeah. So.
That's right.
Yeah. So Cedar Grove, you get going junior year. I mean, I do like a quick little intro with the stuff I was just talking about as far as me having to line up and see you on the other side here, over at Immaculate here. So it was just, it was.
Sorry, I didn't mention your team. You guys had a good team too.
No. You mentioned because we had some down times too. But in the same breath, though, I think it was just one of those things here. You just start hearing. This is even before internet and all that crazy stuff. You start hearing the other teams and the players and this and that. And like I said, you guys year in and year out was just solid, like all around as far as just playing. And you mentioned the Veronas and Mountain Lakes here with that wing tee that they just drive down your throat here, but always in and out year in and year out, they were good here. But again, obviously, when does this start realizing, like, I know you from day one, you've been a football guy since a little kid, but you just realize that I could do something with myself here, whether it's, playing at the highest levels. And when you start thinking about that junior year, or just kind of, when did that come about?
It was immediate. Like, I mean, it wasn't not a whole lot of big picture stuff when I was just a kid. I just like doing what I'm sure what most people like to do. And I just like running around and hitting the other players and mashing them into the ground and then tackling and blocking at that time. And then in high school, running the ball and attacking the defenders, but then attacking the offensive players on defense. I mean, it wasn't a big picture thing for me. Like I said, I loved playing football, dedicated my whole life to it, and never, ever visualized a day where I wasn't going to be playing it. So, yeah. I mean, I had, of course I'm going to play next year, 48 pounds. Absolutely. Yeah. Of course I'm going to try to go to the best high school and hit the best people. I went to summer camp every year too. I went to the Penn State summer camp, which was a fantastic summer camp. Mm-hmm. Prior to my freshman year, the high school coach, Coach Verducci, knew the people there. He got me to be, and you can only go when you were a high schooler. He got me to go the year before. So I was really a 4-year camper at that Penn State camp. And I went to the Syracuse McPherson camp. I went to, all the local big school camps every year just to compete. Mm-hmm. So there was really no, of course I'm going to go play college football. Like, I mean, it wasn't, I'm going to go play football. I'm never going to stop playing football. Of course I'm going to play football, professional football. Like, of course somebody's going to let me be on their team. Well, how could that not be? I'm a good teammate. Mm-hmm. Now that didn't happen, but in my mind, there was no aspirations. It wasn't about paying for school. It wasn't about, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying for me, it was right. I don't say more pure, but there just wasn't a lot of heaped on other entanglements. Mm-hmm. It was just playing the game. Period.
Like straightforward. This is what I'm doing, and this is.
I love to play football, and I'm going to play every day that I can play. Period.
And
I would play right now.
Yeah, how's those knees?
I would play right now. I might only play one play.
Yeah.
Like that country song, right? Like, hey, you know, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'll be as good once as I ever was. So,
Yeah.
so like that country song, you know, I think I got one play in me.
Nah,
I would definitely do it. No question. It wouldn't even take a second for me to think about it.
and you look the part. Like I said, me being up here in Connecticut, you know, I know I'll talk about obviously maybe touch on it a little later, but obviously you coming up here to coach, I just like I used to play against Bob, and then it was just I was like the guy you look at now, he done got modeled up on me. Like I said, he looked the part back there. Like I said, bald head, everything, just grimy. I was like, nah, this model Bob Diaco, I don't know who he is, but like I said, totally different.
I appreciate that, but no, I haven't, you know, when you're not playing anymore, you know, you don't need to be 255
Yeah, right,
pounds.
right.
I didn't need to be 255 pounds anyway. I was just mostly a fat Italian kid, you know? So,
Yeah.
that's the reality of it. But I was 255 pounds when I was done playing, and I begged to play. I wanted to keep playing. No one gave me an opportunity. And they shouldn't have. I was labeled as not physically capable to compete, you know, not fast enough, not athletic enough, not strong enough. And I'm sure they were right. You know, I made the plays I made because I kind of I knew where the ball was going to go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't because I was going to test well. So
Yeah.
when the game ended for me formally, like, dude, you're not going to get an opportunity. You're not coming to camp. You're not good enough. Then I just changed the way that I was living and eating and all that, you know.
Yeah, no, you look great, man. And I think even before the whole college thing, as far as your playing days being completely over, with the college choices and all that, how did you come down to Iowa? Was it anybody else in the running, or that whole
Yeah,
process?
I took my like anybody else. I'm not saying that my experience is different than anyone else's. I
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of opportunities coast to coast, scholarship offers. It'd be easier to say the smart guys that didn't think I was scholarship worthy. You know, Penn State. I would have gone to Penn State, but they had a better list of guys than I was on. Notre Dame also. I probably would have gone to Notre Dame. Notre Dame didn't offer me a scholarship. Truth be told, I think they had a better list. Of the scholarship offers that I had, I took my 5 official visits, and I went to Rutgers.
Okay.
I went to Virginia. I went to UVA.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Iowa. Obviously, we're talking about Iowa. I went to Nebraska and Florida.
Okay.
All the schools were for linebacker other than Nebraska. Nebraska was to play fullback. But those were my 5 official visits. I at the time, you know, you can't really rank them. I enjoyed them all for different reasons. At that time, the Rutgers team wasn't like they are now. Like,
Right.
Coach Ciano is awesome. Like, he's an absolute dude. He is a great coach, a great recruiter, and a great guy. So from my perspective, anybody else can feel how they feel. That's how I feel. So they didn't have a ball club like that, like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska was a national champion.
Right. Right.
Iowa went to the Rose Bowl that year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played Washington. UVA was fantastic, excellent. There were Jersey guys that were getting recruited by those schools that I knew as well. Like, so Scott Slutzker, who was very close friend, was going to trip to Iowa. Randy Neal, who was a very close friend, was going to trip to UVA. So we were kind of intermingled with this group. Christian Peters,
I remember that name.
Was tripping to, he's from Middletown.
Hmm.
He was tripping to Nebraska. Okay. So I kind of had this already group, but the group at the University of Iowa, for whatever reason, as it relates to Jersey and New York, was crazy.
And Bo Porter, all of them out there.
It was mind-boggling. You know, you had Bo, you had Dana Hughes from Bayonne, you had Michael Ferroni from Union, you had Mike Devlin from Cherokee, you had a little bit behind me Tommy Knight from
South Jersey, Marlboro,
from Cherry Hill. You had there's and then guys from New York, Larry Blue, Harold Jasper, you know, on the heels of the Harmon brothers, Bob Cratch out in front of us. You just had all these Jersey guys that were at Iowa, which started with a recruiter named Bernie Wyatt and was handed, the baton was handed off to Tony Verducci's son, Frank Verducci, who was at Iowa, and he did a fantastic job recruiting New Jersey. He's really a great recruiter, period. He really could recruit anywhere for anyone, but he was dynamic in Jersey. And a lot of the Jersey guys at least took a look, you know, at Iowa. And I sure did. I liked the depth situation there. I felt like I was going to play right away, and I did. And it was a blessing, and it was mostly a blessing. It's where I met my wife at the University of Iowa, and we have our children, and we've been married almost 28 years. And it was just a great experience for me. I loved the university. I still do. I love the University of Iowa.
Now, I remember reading somewhere with the whole, even with Iowa here, you obviously could correct me if I'm wrong, but it was or you might have done this on all your recruiting trips, as far as you wore a suit.
I did.
And also, even when you decided to go to Iowa, elected to go there, your father told you, don't come back home. Meaning not in a bad way, but, you know, kind of like start your life.
You could take it however you want it. There's no secret hidden message. You know, it was very clear, you know. So we created a plan for recruiting.
Okay.
I took all my trips alone.
Yeah.
So he wanted to look at the nuts and bolts of the situation and not be able to be wined and dined.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to maintain a business look at the situation. And he wanted me to go and get the feel. And he wanted me, and I didn't disagree. He wanted me to present myself as a businessman, you know, doing business, trying to do. I was just a kid. I mean, it wasn't like super, but that it wasn't like I was trying to be fancy or cute or whatever. It was just, I'm going on a business trip, and I'm going to show up like a businessman, and we're going to do business. And that was our approach. And when I chose the school that I chose, and it was time for me to go, you know, I did something that was really kind of at the beginning that people really weren't doing much. As a freshman, prior to my freshman year, I went as soon as my school ended, like everyone does now. Every single person does that now. But I went immediately and trained with the team.
Okay.
And I was really the only freshman. I was the only person there. I got a little job and I trained with the team because he couldn't go to school. It was before they even thought about having a bunch of rules as to who could do what when. It was prior to that. So I went out there, I trained with the team, I got a little job. And that day when I was going to go, my father drove me to the airport. He walked me in. He handed me my bag, which that's all I had was just one sack, like a lot of people. And he said, "Don't come home."
I love it.
If you come home, I'm going to consider you a failure.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I won't be back.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been back.
Yeah. Yeah. Now
I mean, I go back and visit because I got to eat the pizza and get a dish of pasta.
right. I know what you meant. No, I know what you meant. No, I know what you meant. So
I got to hug my Aunt Paula.
Absolutely.
But other than kissing her on the cheek, no, I was sure to make sure I wasn't going to do that.
Mm-hmm. So you get there a little early, which was great on your part. Obviously, you get a feel for, at least behind the scenes as far as the training and what have you there. Like, was it a huge culture shock for you? Was it just everything?
Huge shock. It was a big culture shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Midwest, and it's awesome.
Okay.
It is fantastic, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. We're really not operating day to day like those people out there are operating.
Okay.
The pace on the parkway, the pace in the grocery store, the pace on the sidewalk. That's not the pace in Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, Nebraska, in some of the bigger cities, yes, but just in general, in these farm kind of areas, it's very, very laid back, very kind, very, reserved, very conservative. So it was a bit of a culture shock, from a conditioning standpoint, it was a big shock, a big step, and there was some real dudes on that team too. When I showed up, there's some first rounders, so it was a good football team and a winning team and a highly conditioned team, having just come off the Rose Bowl and with good players. And so that was a shock, moving around the grass with those guys. And then it was so funny too, because at that time, and you could model it how you wanted to model it, but Coach Fry, may his soul rest in peace, great coach. I love Coach Fry like a father. Coach Fry brought the freshmen in before the rest of everyone.
Okay.
At camp. So when camp starts on, let's say it starts on August 5th, the first 2 days or 3 days were just the freshmen, all newcomers, no varsity players, to acclimatize that group before the rest of the group. Mm-hmm. So I get there and come to find out I was the only signed scholarship linebacker that they brought in. Okay. They also didn't bring in any walk-on inside linebackers. All the linebackers, it was a very large group of linebackers, but they were all upperclassmen. They only had room for one, me, which was kind of cool. But for those few days, the defensive coordinator, who was the linebacker coach, he was an older gentleman. I think he's 90 now. He was one of the greatest, Bill Brazier. And I loved him like a father. But he had a sciatic. His sciatic nerve was flared up. So his GA ran all the drills. Okay. So now you could just about imagine this fired up coaching for the first time, 22-year-old guy who's got his hair on fire, and he's coaching a group, but the group is just me. Mm-hmm. So we're going through bag drills or we're going through cone drills. It's just like nonstop back and forth. And the GA, now to make matters even worse, if you've seen anything about this guy, and I loved him, still do talk to him all the time. He was great. But Mike Stoops was the GA. Okay. So, and Mike Stoops is a great coach. They're all great coaches. Mike, Mark, Bobby, the older brother who's at Youngstown. I mean, they're excellent coaching family. And he's got right out of the gates his first opportunity to coach full speed on the grass. He's already type A, crazy type A. And I tell you, I didn't think I was going to make it, man. Those few days were so hard. It was crazy. I've never done anything physically that hard since. Ever.
You by yourself, yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah. I get through, one leg in the hole, turn around, one leg in the hole, back, foot fire in the hole, back, back, sideways, side shuffle, go, it was just like, and I'm thinking to myself, does he realize there's nobody else in this line? I'm looking at the D lineman, there's 15 of them, so it was funny.
Nah, but this what you wanted. So, you know what I mean? And I think and it paid dividend too. Obviously, upperclassmen and everybody else make their way to camp, but you start just competing. You start competing because that's what you was there for. Just how was it? Just like your first couple of years there, like you're adjusting not only on the field, off the field as well. Just your supports. How are you just adjusting?
Yeah, you're going to school. That's hard.
Yeah.
You're away from home. That's hard. You don't have a vehicle. If you're on a big campus, that can become hard. In the north, the winter comes and that can become hard. All the elements laid on top of each other, weather, homesickness,
yes,
football grind, academic grind, culture, experience that's brand new. So it was a challenge, but like a lot of those great places, the teammates are awesome. The coaches are awesome. The support groups are awesome. There's people in the town that take you in, take care of you, just a hot meal, a hot home cooked meal, or just a kind word. And there were so many people. I still communicate with all those people. I really do.
Yeah.
The Buckwalter family was a great family that was kind to me. Jim Hayes was a professional, very highly accomplished businessman in town, lawyer in town, and we're still close. So you lean on your network, and they reach out for you. They already know you're going to be struggling. So. But just kept put one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. Focus on football. Listen, when we're describing that mindset. So everything was fine when I went onto the field.
Even on the field with 80,000 plus, how did that impact you? Didn't matter.
No, doesn't matter. I don't think I'm saying anything that's out of school. I mean, it'd be better if somebody else said it than if I said it. But I don't know that I treated Tuesday different than Saturday.
Okay.
Like I just when I put my gear on and went on the grass, it was only really one mindset.
Yeah. Nah. Like I said, it just sounded like you just had obviously this innate disability again, one just to lock in, because to your point with the whole mindset thing, just when you're on the field, football is football. I mean, no matter outside forces and environment here, but when you're between them lines, when you strap up, you hit or you get hit and you get hurt and you get out the game. So you had to be definitely locked in regards to that. So playing the Michigans, the Ohio States, I mean, teams that you saw on TV just growing up or whatever. Again, I know, as you just been stating, like I said, football is football. Was it one of those things here? Again, obviously, you guys being Iowa, coming fresh off the Rose Bowl, at least early on here. So you guys are in bowl contention pretty much, every year, give or take. But just the life as far as being a Big Ten linebacker, from afar, I'm watching this is just great. This is just special. Just being like a fan from afar.
Yeah, I don't know that you soak it in like that when you're in it. I don't know that I felt that euphoria or that you're thinking there's something ultra special. I think you'd like to think that. I think that most people around you are saying this time's going to fly. Really take it in. Or trying to clamor for some attention from the Iowa Hawkeyes, from the Iowa fans to the Iowa Hawkeyes, or the Penn State fans for the Nittany Lion players. But I don't know that I processed it that way. I don't know that I felt much different, looking into the backfield of West Essex or Fairfield or North Caldwell when I was in 6th grade, as opposed to looking across the grass at at Randolph when I was at the prep as a freshman, or Cedar Grove looking across at that wing T from Mountain Lakes, or then at Iowa looking across at Michigan. Like it was just plays.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the play and you play the play, and
Mm-hmm.
and you're excited to do it.
Yes.
And the game happens with one mindset. And I just was never trained any other way, even when I was a small child.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you want to think I was raised by wolves or not, and I don't think my story is any different than anybody else.
Right. That's right.
It's not better or worse or more violent or more, but the game for me was a battleground.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And even with that being said, again, having having aspirations. Again, you said you would play football forever if you could, and then obviously whatever accolades, the all Big Tens and all that, but it was still another level to get to, which was that professional level here. While again, there's stopwatches, there's people counting reps or whatever the hell they want to do here. I mean, again, there's nothing to measure nobody's heart and ability to make a play here. And again, I guess you was learning the business obviously in college, but you probably really got the business of the professional stuff while there and not given the opportunity to get a shot. It sounds like.
Yeah, no, it was a very, very hard time.
Yeah.
Very, very hard time. Soul crushing.
Mm.
Soul crushing. And not because what am I going to do? I'm planning on this. I'm banking on that. Everything becomes about, like, you hear these conversations. The first place that everyone's mind goes to is material things, or money or employment or whatever. Yeah. Had nothing to do. I would have done that for free.
Yeah.
I would do it today for free, for nothing. I would pay to do it. I would pay to do it. I would give you money to let me do it. So it was totally soul crushing. There's no other way to say it. Now I had other things. So at that time in my life, I had the blessing of being a husband. I had the blessing of close family that had perspective. I had the blessing of an opportunity that simultaneously showed itself. So right while this is happening, Coach Fry asked me to be the graduate assistant.
Okay.
So it was literally a lifeline, it was a lifeline.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to imply that I was gonna, fail in my obligation to be a functioning citizen and husband and father.
I will hope nobody take it that way. I know exactly.
But it was a lifeline, for my spirit,
yes.
and so I just shifted gears. Shifted gears, and the playing, wasn't going to happen, but the coaching could happen, and I could just be a frustrated ex-player, for the rest of eternity. So,
but totally relatable because you know the game and the GA. What did you initially coach as a GA, or you?
I was on defense. I started as a defensive backs GA.
Okay.
Because it was interesting. Coach Fry, he was so awesome with hiring. You look at Coach Fry's tree, and it's unbelievable. When you think of Bill Snyder and Barry Alvarez and Bob Stoops and Kirk Ferentz and Brett Bielema and Dan McCarney, and you could go on and on. It's like a who's who of Jim Levitt, Bo Pelini. There was so many guys through the University of Iowa during that time, and there's so many more. I'm not Don Patterson. I could go on and on. It was unbelievable, his tree. So, and he just did some awesome stuff in hiring. and he hired to coach his defensive backs Chuck Long, who was a quarterback, played quarterback,
Heisman runner-up.
never played defense, has never tackled anybody, unless they intercepted a pass and he feebly gave a weak attempt at trying to tackle him. Yeah. Never tackled anybody. But Coach Fry felt so strongly with how good a person he is and how hard a worker he was and how smart a player he was. And then how deeply he understood coverages, that what a natural fit it would be for him to be the DB coach. And it was. I mean, he ended up transitioning to offense and coached a Heisman quarterback and was the offensive coordinator of the year and blah, 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 and became a head coach and all those awesome things. But he was a heck of a defensive back coach. So I was put with him to help him and, just help with some of the defensive nuts and bolts, tackling, block destruction, hand placement, foot action.
Yeah, you get rolling as far as from GA to other assistant coaching positions here. When did you start?
I don't know about rolling, man. It's been a grind. It's been a grind.
Yeah, definitely been a grind. How was the recruit? When did you start recruiting?
When you're, I mean, in almost one fell swoop. Mm-hmm. Right. So I had made an impact as a player and a young man on Hayden Fry, Bill Brazier, and Bobby Elliott. Those were the three main people in my life. And Hayden Fry gets cancer and retires. Bill Brazier retires, and Bobby Elliott gets cancer and stops. So in a flash of a second, my whole network imploded, so it was a grind. It was a great grind. I loved it. I learned so much from so many people. I made so many good friends in the business. My network is super strong. I know you read my resume and it's like, I've answered the question before, like, guys, I wasn't just like bouncing around. It was a grind, going from place to place, and some moves I made on my own and some moves I had to go. They say, hey, we can't say you can't coach, but we are going to say you can't coach here. So that happened, and it all happened. But rolling, that I don't know that's the word I would use.
Roll and grind. I'm gonna use them as interchangeably right now. We use them interchangeably. Yeah. But as far as you get to one school that didn't recruit you, that you would have ended up going to, Notre Dame. Obviously it was the whole Coach Kelly connection, but just getting there, like, now I'm a coach here, I'm an assistant coach. I mean, that experience at South Bend, how was it for you?
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved. It's not past tense. Mm-hmm. I love the university. Mm-hmm. I love the people. I love everything about it. I love their mission. I love what they stand for. I love how they develop their student body. Mm-hmm. Now I wasn't just a worker there. I'm a parent.
Yes.
I'm a parent of a student there. So I get a chance to see, and writing that tuition check is a pleasure. I swear, because of the work that they've done with my daughter. Mm-hmm. It's an awesome, and you would think, it gets a rep as being like kind of this, uppity or elitist or this and that. They educate their students in a very Spartan way.
Okay.
I mean, the dorms are Spartan. They're small rooms. They're you walk down the hall with your shower tote and share a bathroom with, 10 other kids or 20 other kids. I mean, there's a sink in there and that's it. It's that way for a reason. Yeah. Those students that are at that school are in a grind, an academic grind of all grinds. Mm-hmm. And there's no hiding. There's 15 kids in the class. 13 of them were the valedictorian of their school. And then there's 2 others, and why they're there, maybe one is a violinist and the other one is a football player. So, but it's an awesome place. And for those reasons, good people, shared vision, one heartbeat, the people that work there, and the kids and the students that go there, there's just one uniform heartbeat when it's rolling. And that's that's how you create a football team that's in the vision of the school. And they're in lockstep together, the spirit of the school and the spirit of the team. It really becomes a hard team to beat. So.
Yeah, it does. And while you was there, your time as far as you helped with that. I mean, you national assistant coach of the year, other accolades, all this other stuff here. And did you, before even go to Notre Dame, did you get any other head coaching offers that, again, I guess it just wasn't a good time, right timing or what have you, before you ended up at UConn?
Yeah. I had interviews. I was basically offered a job I couldn't take. They wanted me to take it right away, and we had the national championship coming. Like, for example, Manti Te'o was going to be a top 10 pick the year before if he came out, or top 30 pick, first rounder for sure, had he come out the year before. He decided not to. And during all those award shows, he stands up and says, I'm coming back to play for Notre Dame. I'm coming back to play for Coach Kelly. I'm coming back to win a national championship. I'm coming back to play for my coaches and my teammates. And now, fast forward, we're going to play the national championship game.
Yeah.
He sticks around, does that. We're going to play a national championship game. Well, the season ends, and then that next week I have an interview. It goes really well. Will you take the job? Sure. What's the timeline? We're going to have a press conference in 48 hours. Whoa, no.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Well, what do you mean? I can't bail on this situation. We're going to the national championship game. Like, I'm going to coach in the national championship game. Well, if you can't get this job. Well, then there'll be other opportunities anyway.
What conference was the school in?
It was on the West Coast. Yeah, it was a West Coast.
I know you're not going to tell me, but I figure I just asked for what conference.
And they were great, and they're great people, and I really clicked with the AD. Mm-hmm. I really clicked with the AD. Great person, super sharp.
Yeah,
really a special person. Still is, still doing it, still doing big things. Mm-hmm. That was my biggest regret. My biggest, oh man, the reason why I wanted to do it so much was because of that athletic director. Special person. But then you fast forward the year later, and I hit the jackpot, with Ward Manuel at Connecticut. Ward Manuel has got to be, if he's not the greatest administrator, university administrator, athletic department administrator in the country, he's one of them. He's top 5. He is an awesome, special, beautiful family, great guy, great leader. Can't say enough about him. So that worked out that I got a chance to be with him and his number one guy, Doug Gadaki, who's the CFO of his administration at Michigan. Mm-hmm. But the two of them together, they run a spectacular department.
Yeah, because he came from Michigan, correct?
He played at Michigan, then they worked at Michigan.
Right.
Where they were exactly before, I think they were at Buffalo, before Connecticut, but he was spectacular. He was great. When he left, my life totally changed.
Yeah, but before he leaves, you get the job. I mean, so you uplift your family from the Midwest, you're going back to the East Coast. So I know different regions was, again, coaching is coaching, but the type of
I loved
players
it.
you loved
I
it.
loved it.
You're
I
close to
loved it so
home.
much.
Yeah.
I loved it so much.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. I still
Mm-hmm.
have trouble even thinking about it, to be honest with you.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really, really hurt. I poured my heart and soul, my whole being into that team. And for it to not, to end the way it ended and not work out was another soul crushing moment. Now again, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a friend, you're a brother, you're a grandson, you're an uncle, you're a whatever you are. So you pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you just keep on rolling, take another step, breathe another breath. But that was another one of these spectacularly spirit crushing moments.
What happens? I mean, you're there, or you get 3 years. I mean, I know they say the hitting thing, you get 3 to 5, you get your own recruiting class. And I mean, the figure of speeches, the cliches they say about coaching and getting their play. Like, what the hell happened?
I was hired by Ward.
Mm-hmm.
When he left, not right or wrong, it's just a totally different management style. I take accountability as a first-time coach. We played in a few games. First of all, every game was competitive,
Mm-hmm.
right? There was no big lopsided, maybe one game, but
Mm-hmm.
all the games were competitive. But I think we open up, we beat, a really good FCS team. Maybe it was Villanova off a national championship. Maybe it was Stony Brook.
Okay.
We beat that team at home. Then UVA comes to Hartford. We beat them. We're 2-0. So now our next game is at Marine Corps Stadium and at Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And we battle, and we have the ball with 26 seconds. I have a timeout. We're down by 4. And the ball, based on the officials, one has it marked at the 5, and we saw it go out on the 18-inch line. So once we sort through all that, an end of game critical situation pops up. That as the leader, I failed in that moment. I failed in that moment as the leader, as the person responsible for the ball, and we lost. Had we won and punched it in right there, we're 3-0. We're rolling.
Yes.
Everything is different. Everything is different. So we have Syracuse the next weekend. We have another end of game situation. Game's highly competitive. We lose that, heartbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Scores down. I mean, it was like 24-20, 21-25, 17-21. It was like that, right? Got a chance to drive and win. So as a first-time coach here in year 3, I had a few end of game situations that I just didn't have the team ready for. And that's my fault. And we didn't win enough. We beat Cincinnati. We won some nice games. I'm not upset with the season at all. I wish it would have been a learning moment for me.
Okay.
In year 3, having just coached the team to a bowl, having us compete hard in all the games, and just needed a little bit more of a learning curve, with the other areas working at a very high level. GPA was up. Nobody was quitting the team or getting thrown out of school. There was no attrition. The APR was high. Community service was high. All the young men on the team were behaving in a way that you would have been proud, of. We just didn't win enough for a new boss, and that was it. So
Yeah, and I know coming in, obviously, sound like a good situation coming in, especially with the administration and UConn obviously being the basketball craze state, and obviously with the men and the women. So again, I know you're not competing against them, but you are competing against them. You know what I mean? It's just like kind of one of those things. But it sounds like, again, obviously me being able to see it firsthand, being up here, just kind of just watching, obviously the 3 seasons that you had here, like I said, just being one of your biggest fans is rooting for you and the kids to do well here. Nah, absolutely, absolutely. So, and again, then, and it seemed like it just for me, it came out of the blue, like you were no longer going to be there. That's it. That's what it seemed like to me.
It came out of the blue for me.
Okay.
We had activated a plan to heal the team and for me to grow and get better and everyone to improve. And then on December 26th, the day after Christmas, it was over.
Yeah.
So, which it is what it is. I don't hold any begrudging attitude or anything against that situation. I mean, we didn't win enough, and we didn't win enough because I didn't lead the team to winning. So, and if you don't do that, you don't get to stick around. So, it was nobody else's fault but mine. And had we won more, I wouldn't have got that call. And it was a great lesson, but I don't regret going there. And it was I took the job. We were in the Big East.
Yes.
A month later, there was the autonomous 5, which then slanged through media became the Power 5.
Yeah.
And once they became a Power 5 and a non-Power 5, now we weren't even recruiting the same players.
That changes the whole dynamic. Yeah.
It changed everything. The players aren't even, they're not, in a day, you were recruiting against and recruiting battles against Boston College, Syracuse, Pitt, Rutgers, Maryland. And then a day later, what felt like a day later, you're not even in the conversation. Those players are going to go play. They're going to go to West Virginia and play in the Big 12. They're going to go to Syracuse and play in the ACC. So you could say what you want, and we did the best that we could. And the American Conference was a great conference. We enjoyed being in it. Ward made it okay. Ward made it great. Ward made it, we're going to deal with and control the controllables. We're in the American Conference. We're going to work to win championships in the American Conference, and the rest will take care of itself. That was his mindset.
Yes.
So, but the landscape, it felt like a day later.
It did.
Like from taking the job, from when I took the job to when nationally everything changed and conference realignment happened, it was unbelievable how different it was.
Now, obviously, economics go into some of this stuff, if not a majority of it. Now, how that stadium or the rent, like how much of a detriment, if so, just having that stadium 20, 25, 30 minutes away from campus, only seats X amount of people, and you're talking about these other conferences, obviously you got the big stadiums, obviously money plays a factor in a lot of this stuff. Any of that stuff that you know of was in consideration when these teams were leaving and jumping ship to these bigger conferences?
I mean, you hear all those narratives, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't have that kind of seat at the table. You know what I mean? So that was a big boy table, and I wasn't at that table, So that decision making was happening on another level. So any word I can give to that would just be water cooler talk, which I don't know whether it's got credibility or not, from stadium size to whether there's investigations into this or that, and if that hurt or helped, football wins, losses, all that. I don't know what went into the equation. So I was just happy to be coaching the team.
Yeah.
happy to be in the role that I was just so honored to be in the role that I was in, leading those young men and those coaches. And it was a blessing of all blessings.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Nah, definitely. I mean, you got a whole program. You have caregivers and parents who, having you entrust with their kids. I mean, what an honor that is. I mean, and again, just to this group of young student athletes here, trying to mold them, just like you mentioned, your coaches, your little league coaches, everybody else molding you and shape you somehow. So that just had to be, like I said, just an honor in itself here. Like as
It
far
is,
as just the shape, yeah,
it is. And I'm not saying I was good at it or great at it or anything. You make mistakes every day. You just
yeah,
try not to duplicate them and keep it moving. And every dynamic is different. Every year is different, even at the same school.
oh, yeah.
The team's got to get put back together every year.
Mm-hmm.
So and you try as hard as you can, and you're gonna fall, but just get up and just keep moving.
Yeah. Speaking of getting up, you kept with what you've been doing, since then, as far as with your time.
You know what? Listen, it's been the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. It's been so interesting that way on a competitive landscape.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed. Don't get me wrong. I'm blessed, and I count them daily,
Yes.
and I'm grateful, and I have such gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
On a competitive level in the game, highest to highs, lowest to lows. I go off to Nebraska. I think I'm taking the job to be there to retire. Like, I'm going to turn the black shirts defense over time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to be there forever. That's all I want to do. I'm going to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
10 months later, we're all out. A few months in getting there, they fire the athletic director. A few months after that, the conversation starts that the head coach is out and Scott Frost is in. There was no chance,
Mm-hmm.
none. So that was a total disaster.
Yeah.
Go from there to Oklahoma. Incredible experience. Lincoln Riley, Bob Stoops, Barry Switzer. They're there every day. They're there in the building every day.
Mm-hmm.
The athletic director, total stud. Mr. C, total stud. Everybody at the university in the athletic department is working to win. That's what they do. That's their job. They don't, it's not my job to do this and that, but I'm going to walk by trash in the stadium. No. If there's trash in the stadium, pick it up.
Right.
If there's trash in the sidewalk, you pick it up. If a student athlete needs help, you help them. If the lacrosse coach wants to come to practice, they come to practice. If the track team needs to be in the weight room while you're in the weight room, then they're in the weight room. The landscapers that maintain the field so that the team can prepare to win a championship. I mean, it was unbelievable lesson in full shared vision, championship level department. And sure enough, we won a championship and played in the playoffs. It was an unbelievable experience. From there, go to Louisiana Tech. Skip Holtz is one of the finest men and best head coaches in the country. This guy's fantastic. He's fantastic. If I had a child, I would want him to play for Skip Holtz. His team's always going to win. Now, they might not win every game, and they might win every game, but they're not going to lose. They're not going to lose. He's going to have a good team. Mm-hmm. This guy's got a plan that dates back to Lou Holtz.
Yes.
They got a plan for how to build a team, how to build a staff, and how to do business. Sure enough, end up in the Independence Bowl and shut out the Miami Hurricanes and win my Independence Bowl championship. It was the only shutout of a group of five team, of a power five team in the two things competing. You only shut out in Independence Bowl history. And then off to Purdue. Purdue comes because they want, what we do. And I went, and it turns out that not right or wrong, again, love the West Lafayette, love the university, love everything it stands for. It is such a special place. And this is not some Chamber of Commerce talk.
Right.
It's a fantastic place with fantastic people. But we're not in the same tribe.
Okay.
We're not in the same tribe. Not right or wrong, right? Not right or wrong. It just didn't work. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Nobody's fault. Just not going to work. Nothing happened. And actually, interestingly, because when separation happens, it's so negative. We produced the largest statistically climbing, improving defense of all units in the country in 2020. We went from 100 to 51. The rush defense finished per rush in the top 20. It was 19 in the country, up from 99. So there was some really good growth in some areas. Some areas not so much. Every area improved. Every area. Some profound, but so it wasn't production. It just wasn't. There was no pathway forward. There was no pathway forward to two different philosophies. So
and that happens, you know what I mean? And that happens.
It does. Yeah. And I have no ill will there at all. I love the players. They were great, really fine young men. The people that go to that school, and especially the student athletes that go there, they're top of the line. So again, another school you can't hide. It's a school. It's a real school. So, and now the silver lining, I get to analyze that situation. I get to analyze where I went wrong. I get to analyze what I could have done better. I get to analyze all those moments. I can see and take accountability for all that. That's growth. Because I'm moving forward.
Yes.
And I've had a great opportunity. I've created some projects for myself to learn some things that I don't know much about, in terms of the detail that I would like to have. So I've been doing deep dive studies into that area, and then along with cleaning up the system that I've run.
Okay.
Because it can get muddy and murky through a season, so this gives you an opportunity to relook at how the system is put together. Is it actually a system? What are the learning tools and progressions of teaching? Is that appropriate? What are the methods? Technology changing, how can we do this better or that better? And then also look at some of the tactical attack stuff, and really do a deep dive. What can I do better from a tactical standpoint, as a chess player, what can I do different in different spots? So if you're willing to look at it, all that information's there, along with some other fun projects that I'm working on. So.
Good to hear. And I'm sure even with this time too, probably had opportunity to spend more time with your family as well too. I mean, amidst obviously, pandemic, but just in general, just to spend some more home time with them.
I hear you. And I know that's the company line. So, I mean, it's good, for me to say that. Yeah. But truth be told, like I mentioned, from when I was a small child, I've been competing on a team. So this is another moment. This is very, very hard, so, and I don't mind saying it.
Yeah.
There's these moments that present themselves in every single, I'm not unique either. You know, you have your moments where you've been hurting and down and out and gut punched, and what you did to get out of it and continue and flourish, and get stronger. So this is another one of these moments. So for me to say that it's not, or imply that I love, you know, sitting here hanging out with my wife and youngest son all day, every day, that would not be true. And that wouldn't be fair to them. This is a hard time. I'm not on a team. I've been on a team for the last 40 years. So, I'm dealing with that.
Okay.
And it's all good. Like I said, I'm blessed. I have an attitude of gratitude, but for example, like you're pointing out, the month of July, I took my youngest son, Michael, and we went and looked at universities, and he went to lacrosse camps and looked at schools. So that would have been something I wouldn't have been able to do as comprehensively as I did it. We went to 5 different universities, 5 different lacrosse camps, and had a spectacular month together. You know, so that's something I would have never been able to do had it not been for the blessing of this time. So we've crafted and created the silver linings, you know, in this storm cloud. So, but I definitely get better every day, getting better tactically, getting better fundamentally, better as a communicator, so that when my next opportunity comes, I'll be a better staffer.
Yeah, and that's also growth. Obviously, as being, you know, mid to late 40s here, you never stop growing, and obviously these down times, I mean, you find a way to turn it into positive. Not necessarily with the family. You just mentioned other projects and kind of looking at yourself more critically, you know, as far as what you could have done better, or what you're going to do better, what you're going to change, and that's growth. That's evolving, and obviously that next call, you know, obviously you're going to put all that stuff to task, you
I'll
know,
be
and
ready.
yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And even putting something else to task here, Bob, I know, like I said, I'm grateful at this time here. Wanted to ask again, I know you've seen a couple. I just have a little bit of fun, have a little fun here, just put you on the spot a little bit. Again, I know you media trained, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine here. So with that being said, uh, obviously, when you have gone back to see your aunt or whoever here in Jersey, being a Jersey guy, did you prefer the Parkway or the Turnpike?
Parkway guy.
Parkway. You might not disclose this, but you ever had a crazy moment on Pompton Avenue?
Pompton Avenue. So many. We would need another hour to unpack my crazy moments on Pompton Avenue. No doubt. No
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah, I'm sure.
I could just give a collective apology for everyone through my stupid years in and around Pompton Avenue on Cedar Grove.
Yeah, what was one of your spots you used to go to on Pompton Avenue? Remember?
Listen, when I was a kid, we all kind of convened by Food Town at that Krausers right there.
Okay.
We did that when we got moved from White Castle, because there was a huge,
Wow. That's that
fight.
Verona, Cedar Grove. Yeah.
It was a huge fight right there at that White Castle.
Yeah.
Somebody got hurt bad, so that whole thing shut that down. And then when you hung out in the park and until you got ran out of there, and then you get a little bit older, and whoever's parents weren't home, we went to their house.
Yeah, yeah. Now they had a movie. Then they had like a movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's right.
By
Okay.
JJ Newberry's right there where
Wow,
Queens is.
JJ Newberry. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Across the street from the Pilgrim Diner.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
Pilgrim Diner, I heard, is opening back up again.
Oh, they're bringing it back. Okay.
Yeah, they're bringing it back. They got great fries with cheese and gravy. It's a great pastrami on rye with cheese in there. Great cheeseburger. I can't tell you how many times I went in there after hours and ate too much.
We'll see how the 2.0 works. See if this, see
I'm
how it
sure
works.
it's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Yeah. Iowa City or Cedar Grove?
Oh man. if there's no Iowa City, then there's no wife, and then there's none of these three babies. So I got to say Iowa City.
Okay. Nah, definitely. I think you might have answered this one earlier, but I'm going to throw a name we didn't get to talk about. Coach Fry or Coach Sadlock?
Coach Fry or Coach Sadlock?
Yes.
You're serious?
Having some fun. Just having some fun here.
Come on. I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer.
Yeah,
nothing against Coach Sadlock, but Hayden Fry is one of the greatest football coaches of all time at any level.
Yeah. Nah, obviously, like I said, I knew the answer to that. But let me ask you this though. Speaking of just with Coach Sadlock here, you had to be part of that wing team for a brief moment too, didn't you?
Well, listen, I remember Coach Sadlock because we beat his Bailey Ellard team when he was the head coach there. I don't know him as a head coach for me, other than the team we beat at Bailey Ellard.
Got you. Okay, I got you because I still a couple of those guys from Bailey I have talked to and continue to talk to. Lonzo Cumberland, he was a running back
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I remember that name. He was a good back.
Yes.
Hard to tackle.
Yes. So, playing or coaching? You don't have some years in coaching. Does playing still supersede it?
No, I don't know. They're totally different things. I love them both.
Okay.
I love them both.
At any level, best game you ever played in your life? At any level?
Oh, man. I think a linebacker, Iowa, Indiana.
Okay. How'd you do that game?
Was my best game.
Okay.
Yeah. It was my best game.
About best game you ever coached?
It was probably, I don't know, one of the most fun games to be a part of was two games in 2012, the Stanford game and the USC game, because they both had goal line stands to win.
Okay.
Where USC had, because of a couple DPIs, had about 6 opportunities in the tight red zone to win the game, and we stopped them. Stanford was an epic finish on a 4-down goal line stand to win.
Yeah.
So those are two great moments. There's a lot of great moments that way with different teams, but that was really, really cool. I mean, even Western Illinois, we won the Gateway Conference Championship at Western Illinois in the Iowa Dome at Northern Iowa, and the head coach decides to kick a field goal. It's outside the range of our normal field goal kicker, but because our punter just mucked around in practice, he had never kicked a field goal in a game, but he felt like he could make it and had the leg for it. So he put our punter in, who had never kicked a field goal full speed in a game, to kick the game winner as time expired to win the championship in the Dome against Northern Iowa for the Gateway Conference Championship. He put him out there. Mike Cyphers put the ball right through the uprights, and we won the championship.
Yeah. Hey.
It was crazy. So there's all kinds of little moments like that, You think about the faces and the names, and it's mostly just the people you enjoy.
Mm-hmm. What how many schools you coached at?
Just off the top, no. I mean, I don't want to count them. It's every time you say one, I think about a child moving, coming off a soccer team, leaving their friends, getting in the car, packing boxes. My wife leaving her friends, things they enjoy, doctors, like things you don't even think about. You get a relationship with a doctor, or just something as simple as getting your hair cut. So I try not to count them. There's a lot of joy, but there's also a lot of pain.
Yeah. Have you just being a father and a coach? How have you dealt with those moments? I know maybe they all were different, but is it something like a go-to kind of thing you may do with the kids and or the wife? But just how do you deal with those moments?
Yeah, just honesty. Okay. They know why I believe the good Lord put me on the face of this earth,
Okay.
and has a plan for me, and has helped guide me, and care for me and protect me and help me even though at times I've done stupid things and not help myself. So they know that. And because they know that, there's always respect and understanding. So when I'm not doing that, I give my all in all to them, and I'm captured in those moments by them.
Yeah.
So they get my full attention. I don't turn those moments on and not turn the other off. I dive in. And they're good. They're good people,
Yes.
and mostly my wife, Julia, it did it all. She's done everything. I can't take any credit. Like, they're great kids, but it's mostly because of her.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you're saying, and you're just sharing that again, just how important, mothers are. And, I kind of just had like a quick thought of that to myself, and just know how fortunate I am as well, too. Just, to have a wife, someone that's solid, that's by your side. Yeah, definitely great stuff.
That's
Great
the
stuff.
best. Was Dylan wrote a song, right? A 9-pound hammer and a woman like you. It's just like, if we got a mission, we got a job, we got work, we got something we can do that you can have pride in, and someone by your side, then your life is all, it's good, it's blessed.
Yes. Yes. Any game you like to have back?
Oh my gosh.
If it was one that just sticks out automatically.
Oh, Navy, 2016. It's not even a question.
Yes.
Not even a question.
I agree.
Easiest answer ever.
Yes.
The difference, we punched the ball in there on the 18-inch line and beat Navy in Marine Corps Stadium, which doesn't happen. And they were really good at that time. To go 3-0, everything's different.
Yes. Yes.
Like, not that, like, everything is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
is there, just in your travels, is there a recruit that got away? One that got it, like you thought you pretty much had him to the 11th hour, or
none that hurt, like where I would remember. You know what I mean? I recruit a little different. Like,
did.
I was honest. This is who I am. This is who we are. If this isn't what you're about, you really don't want to come here. You're not going to enjoy me. You're not going to enjoy us. Like, you're not going to be productive.
Yes.
So when you talk to, and you're honest with players and their parents and their guardians and their families, and you paint a real picture, the ones that say yes, say it early and want to be a part of it. And the ones that don't, it's immediate. Like, they don't, there's no, they don't want to be a part of what you're doing, So, I approach the recruiting a little differently, because I still believe in it. I really do. I think that you will always have a good team if you get people that fit the culture and what you're trying to get done, and it's cross-pollinated throughout, and you don't end up recruiting players that shouldn't be a part of your culture, and you'll always be good. And then you can be great a year here or a year there for a stretch, if you end up and you knock the ball out of the park at quarterback or at running back, or with a couple of defenders that people can't get open, and they just come and go, and then you can have a dynasty. But to do that, the other team's got to go get bad too.
Right.
There's a two-way street there. It isn't just like you got really, really good, other teams, dropped off too. So, I didn't really look at recruiting that way. and I'm not someone, like I don't eat. I haven't had escargot.
Okay.
Like people say it's great, right? I've never had it,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never ate a snail, so I heard they're great, but because I've never had a snail, I don't miss snails. So I'm not going to miss something I've never had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Now, I know some of this time that you have had, there's been some changes. So I know even with the recruiting, with the whole NIL thing, like, what's your thoughts on that? Or just, again, it sounds like obviously you shoot straight from the hip. You're honest. So obviously that plays a huge part in recruiting. But I know this whole NIL thing done changed the game here.
Yeah, I think that I get it. I get why the conversation happened. I get why, when it went to the level of the courts, how that ruling was going to go. Um, I think it's still going to be a 1% of the student athletes that are going to be impacted in a positive way, which is sad. Um, uh, and 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 if it creates a circumstance where student athletes go to universities that they're not really a fit at, and they don't finish, or they don't graduate, or they go from school to school, that's not positive. I wouldn't want that for my child.
Mm-hmm.
So if this high school young people of all sports go to universities that they're excited to go to study and get an education and leave as an educated man or woman
Mm-hmm.
and get a degree and have a positive experience and compete in their extracurricular activities, and they can make money, it's great. If that creates a circumstance that hurts the other reason why they're even there, then it doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not positive. From
Yes.
18, from that 18 to 22-year-old, 17 to 22-year-old, in that phase, they're in a developmental phase. It's not time to make money. And if they can make money, fantastic, but not to compromise development, education, growth,
Yes.
moving from a young man to a man, moving from a young woman to a woman, and all the mistakes that you can make, and all the errors that you do, and all the growth that happens. And it's all good. There's no ultimate judge. There's no ultimate consequences. There's just movement and growth and people that care. And if that can continue properly, which it seems a little bit quirky right now, but if we can get that back on track, and they can flourish and have a distribution of funds, I think it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fantastic. If not, I wouldn't compromise growth and education and development to make a few bucks right now. I don't think that's smart.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And to your point here, you talk about all you science and all this psychological stuff, and you talk about the adolescents. The adolescents ain't fully developed to like mid to late 20s. Like you just think about the adolescent brain, and on top of that, everything else that's just going on. To your point, growth and development, all that plays a factor into all this stuff too. So, and again, yeah, yeah, definitely. And I know someone who should have made it. I mean, made it could be defined however you want, whether it's the pros or whether it's the college level. Like just someone you're up growing up, or just someone that you know close to or just heard about that should have made it.
Um, Gosh, that's a hard one. I think more about coaches right now that washed out, that were really fantastic teachers that either cracked or got sidetracked, or life pulled them in a different direction. Um, I can't necessarily think of players. I grew up with a guy named Fabrizio Canonico, and he was a super tough football player, super tough guy, big, huge heart. And he would have been a good college football player, no doubt. And he hurt his knee our senior year, and that kind of shut things down for him. But I think his life would have had a very different trajectory had he not sustained that knee injury as a senior. He's still a fantastic guy, and I love him like a brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have been excited to watch him play college football. He would have done a nice job.
Yeah. Who did you model your game after? If there was anybody doing it, did you model it after anybody, or you one of one?
No, I mean, different players, but growing up, I was a Giant fan, and still am to some extent. I love New England as well, but and they're both, like, over the years, it's like linebacker so they're linebacker teams, and those were kind of the linebackers that I studied, the inside and outside backers from those Giants and New England Patriot teams.
Mm-hmm. Are you the best to ever come out of Cedar Grove?
Oh, I would say no way. Not by a long shot. No. There's been some really good players that have come out of Cedar Grove. And I didn't even start it. Like, to me, you got Nicky Zucchino Sr., who played at Tennessee, was a great long snapper there. His son then went on and played. He's a long snapper at Purdue right now. You got the Diaco brothers that were dynamic and still are doing big things. There's been a lot of really good players through there.
Mm-hmm. You just in life, you think you gotten your just due?
I'm blessed. I mean, I'm blessed beyond measure. I have my wife and 3 children. We love each other unconditionally, and we're all best friends, the 4 of us, 5 of us together. We all have our mental and physical health. We have the ability to freely worship. We have the ability to freely roam about this spectacular country, living in the United States of America. We have resources to educate ourselves. We have resources of clothing and food and shelter. I'm blessed beyond measure. I have friends that I love and that love me, that if I called them right now, they'd be at my door. And I have so much more to learn. I have coaches that I want to be my mentor, and I'm trying to have that happen. So, with a childlike zeal, with a childlike excitement to learn and grow. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed beyond measure. And one day at a time, right? That's today, right?
Yeah.
Give us this day. Give us this day our daily bread, this day.
Mm-hmm.
People just assume it's like the bread, right? It's just that day. What are you going to do tomorrow?
Nah, you're right. You're right. And best part about being Bob Diaco?
Just being in this family.
Yes.
That's it. Being in this family. I mean, I have an extended family that absolutely love me unconditionally. And then I have my immediate family that is just the joy of my life. And then I have this legacy of these young people that I've poured love on in the game. Those are the best thing, just the commitment to the people in my life.
Yeah. And what advice would this Bob Diaco give that 17, 18-year-old? What advice would you give him?
I would say 17-year-old all the way up to 47-year-old Bob Diaco. You need to learn how to listen. You need to become a better listener.
Okay.
Listening is a full body experience. And in that listening and in that quiet, There's kindness and patience and all kinds of other really cool things that will come from listening properly. So that's what I would tell him.
Yeah. And speaking of listening, like I said, I've had the honor for this last little bit of time here to listen to you, and just so taken back. Like I said, you talk about the kids here. You know, I keep it contained. I try not to get too fanned out too many times here, but but just the opportunity just for you to just reply back to me, reaching out to you, just saying, hey, I'll do it. Let me just do some stuff and get some stuff straightened out, and I'll get back to you, Ib. And like I said, just to sit here and to talk to you again, we're face to face on a different level. And I was thinking, I was like, wow, we going back like 30 years.
Yeah.
I was like, and to your point, you mentioned just a few seconds. I'm just happy to be here and take each day. But just to even have that second, I just like, damn, 30 years ago, and to have a conversation with you, just to watch your moves you made, Bob. I think just being so proud, me being, from a small parochial school and having an opportunity just to know how great, who cares, whether it's group 4 or whatever level of school, a player is a player, you're going to find them, and I think and you're a true testament to that. But also, I think just razor sharp focus. You knew early on what you wanted to do, and nothing was going to stop you. And then once that got derailed slightly a little bit, you just made an adjustment, still in the game that you love. And even to hear, and obviously we just talked about, like, obviously this year that had just some of the stuff that you've been going through, and just not being on a team for 40 years, about 40 years. I mean, that's the last time you wasn't on a team, 40 years. So when you said that just resonated with me, like, wow, just understanding the whole team concept, if you're the coach, the player, whatever the case is. And I don't want to sound like I'm rambling, but I just want to just
Fine.
say,
I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here on your show. I'm honored just to be talking to you. I'm honored to get the chance to say that for me, no different than any other person, even if it's one other person that listens,
mm-hmm.
There are times like in a poem called Crossing a Ford, the wind dies down. The wind in your sails dies down. No wind,
Mm-hmm.
You're not moving.
Yes. Yes.
That's when you got to paddle. You got to
mm-hmm.
paddle. So, I'm paddling right now. I've had to paddle in the past. And then there's been that cycle where the wind is, and the sails are full of wind, and you're blowing just as fast as you can and going just as fast as you can go and clip along, And then there's moments where there's no wind and you just got to paddle.
Paddle.
That's it. But Essex County helps us paddle.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we do.
Absolutely. And I think too, and all the stuff been up to this point, 40 plus years, Bob, you're just getting started. And I'm just looking forward to these next chapters that's coming. Like I say, and I mean that sincerely.
You too.
Yeah. So you being officially you somehow help it be officially Ib somewhere along the way and directly here. So, and again, thank you for taking time out. And again, you got a fan of me as far as wherever you end up, I'll be rooting. I mean,
same here.
That.
I'm your fan.
Thanks, Bob. Be well. Hopefully, continue health and safety with your family as well too. And one way or another, I'm sure our roads will cross.
Likewise, I look forward to it.
Bob, I appreciate it, man.
Okay, buddy.
All right, be well.
You too.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Like I said, just humble, just to hear the opportunity, just to hear Bob share some of his story. Just excited about all this. With all that being said, like I said, I appreciate everybody, taking a look at this, jumping on it, or what have you there. And I'm just gonna slide on out on that. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.